This is the story of how I built Lazolookz Studio, from an idea in my head to a place I can finally call my own. This is just the beginning. Welcome to Lazolookz. There we go. Alright, so I would say my story really started back in high school. I was a kid who would sell chips in a duffel bag. At one point, I even had 2 people selling for me. I guess that's where my entrepreneurial mindset started. And obviously, selling chips wasn't enough, though. So that's when I started my first job. My first job ever was In-N-Out. Flipping burgers, making fries. It was cool and all as a 16-year-old, still going to high school. But I wanted more. I always wanted more. There was this hunger inside of me that always wanted more. As soon as I finished high school, I started other jobs. I was working for the government at some point. I was working for a water damage company. But obviously none of that worked for me. I still had that hunger inside of me to keep going, still looking for better. Growing up, I was always a kid that really liked haircuts. I've always wanted to get haircuts every 2 weeks. I would bug my parents for money every 2 weeks for haircuts. And as I grew older, I was getting them every week. So I've always liked looking fresh, feeling good. And around 2020 is when my brother started cutting hair. And I noticed he really liked it. He really enjoyed what he was doing. And I kind of tagged along. In the beginning of 2022, I said, fuck it, and started cutting hair. And my brother was a few years ahead of me. So I basically asked him if he would help me. And my brother being a real one, obviously he did, and he would let me mess him up a couple of times. And I always surrounded myself around a group of homies that were always solid with me. So as soon as they heard I was cutting hair, they were very supportive of what I was doing. 2 months in of cutting hair, I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all the way in and never look back. I started barber school at WBI. It took me about a whole year. I was going to work and going to school at the same time. I was working from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., going to school from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. I barely had enough time to eat, barely had enough time to sleep. I was always tired. But it all paid off in the end, and I thank God for giving me the strength to be able to do that, because that's pretty tough. That's just a little insight of what I actually went through. In 2023, I was not done with school yet, about to be done, but I had this mentor who was also a barbershop owner, and she kind of let me in, gave me the okay to work for her as long as I was going to finish school, and I did. I was working for her right after I finished school, and it was okay for a little while, but you may not see eye to eye. But I still thank her for everything she has done in my life, and she gave me the opportunity. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to have the experience of cutting hair at a barbershop. But it was okay. I knew I was going to be out of there, so I started looking into places like studios, office spaces, and I looked, I think, at a total of 3 or 4 of them. The first 2, they were nice and everything. One of them had gave me the okay, but at the end, it just didn't work out. The second studio I looked into, it was a fixer-upper, so I couldn't really just start doing my own thing right away. It was more like I was going to have to put a lot of money into it, to say the least. This one, I think, being my 3rd studio, I had seen it, I came in, and I knew right away. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was going to be the one. It was just plain. It didn't really look like much, but I had the vision for it. I knew exactly what it was going to come out to be. I knew what I was going to paint the wall colors. I knew what type of TV I was going to put, the mirrors I was going to put up, the sofas, everything, the lighting. I knew exactly what I had in my head, and I just needed it to come out to life. Shout out to my homie Lewis, who helped me throughout the whole process. So yeah, this is currently where we're at. We're still in the building, in the process. Well, I'm not fully finished yet. There's still a couple things that I want to tweak, a couple things that I want to add. But this is currently where I'm at. I hope my channel overall becomes a learning process for some of you guys. You guys learn a thing or two, and we're all on the same boat. Don't feel like, discouraged. If you're probably going through a hard time, eventually you guys can get here too. Thank you for watching and tagging along the journey.